Hey Guitar Hacks, I just want to talk a little bit today about this Hughes and Kettner Tubemeister 36. I just acquired this. I was looking for instead of a combo, I was looking for a head and cab. I wanted a little bit bigger sound, so got this 36 watt head, and I got the 212 Hughes and Kettner cab that comes with it. The Hughes and Kettner cab has two 12-inch Celestian vintage 30s in it. I'm just going to talk a little bit about this amp and what it can do. Been playing it for about a week, 2 weeks now. Just going to go through some of the features for you. Alright, this is the back of the amp. It's got quite a few abilities back here. I'm just going to start on this side here. So here we've got a Midi Out. I don't use that at all. I don't have any MIDI equipment. I'm just a simple guitar player. We've got a foot switch pedal where you can either control the effects, turn the effects on and off, the effects loop, or you can switch channels. Now, I have the Hughes and Kettner foot switch down here, which doesn't actually come with the amp. You have to buy this extra. I was able to get one thrown in because this is all used stuff, and that's one of the advantages. Sometimes when you buy used, they throw in some things for you. So I've got that. There is an effects loop that comes with it as well, that again you can turn on or off. If you don't use the foot switch, there's a push button there that you can turn it on and off. There's also a reverb that you can also switch on and off. This I do use. There's a red box outlet. It's an XLR. That will go directly into a board, a sound board, and it sounds like or simulates a mic'd cab. Now, I used it once at a rehearsal. We rehearse at a studio where everything goes through a board and we're all wearing headphones. Didn't really like the sound of it. It sounded pretty bad. Now, that was just the first time out. Maybe we didn't tweak it properly. I don't know, because all the reviews said that it does a really good job of simulating a cab, but I don't know. I got to play around with that a little bit more. The other cool thing, yeah, it's got indicator lights that kind of tell you what the condition of the tubes are, which tubes are working. That sort of ties in with the power soak over here. Now this is a 36 watt amp, and I don't know if you can see that, it's kind of blurry, but you can use the power soak and you can knock it down to 18 watts, 5 watts, 1 watt, or if you're going to use the red box out, you can press this last button here, which takes out the speaker and activates the red box, and then there's your speaker connection. This does 8 or 16 ohms, and then there's your power cord. So it's got quite a few things on this. Now, this is the Tubemeister. There is a Grandmeister that I believe has even more stuff on it. I already don't use the MIDI, so for me this was fine. I haven't gigged with this yet. We'll be doing that in a couple of months, so I can't really speak on how well it performs live or anything, but it sounds pretty good so far, just playing around with it here in my room. On the front end here, starting on this side, you've got your power and standby, of course, and this is actually a 3-channel amp. You have starting over here, you've got a clean channel, and you got your master and your gain. The clean channel on this, it's not Fender sounding, it's not Gibson sound, or sorry, it's not Marshall sounding. It's somewhere in the middle. It's got kind of a hi-fi quality to it. There's a lot of detail in the clean. The clean actually on this is quite good, and it's a nice sounding clean, in my opinion. The clean channel has its own treble, mid, and bass, so it has its own EQ. Then it has a gain channel, which they call that a crunch, which has its own master and gain. And then beside that you have a lead boost, which also has its own master and gain, and both these gain stages share a common EQ. So there's not a separate EQ for the master and the gain. They do share an EQ. And what's well known again about these Hughes and Kettner amps is the lighting itself. I think that's a pretty cool feature that really draws the eye to this amp. But again, it's more than a light show. The thing does sound really good. I A/B'd this. For me, it was a toss-up between this amp and the I was looking at the Victory amps, particularly the V40 Duchess, which is a fantastic amp as well. The only thing that sort of won me over with this was the clean sound. Actually, I preferred the clean sound on this to the Victory, but the Victory is by no means a bad amp. It's also a pretty fantastic sounding amplifier. So I'm gonna set up here quickly and play some sounds for you. By the way, one of the guitars I'm going to be using is the Gibson Les Paul Standard, so you can hear what it sounds like with some humbuckers. And the other guitar that I'm going to be using is this Fender Strat American Standard, so you can hear what it sounds like with single coils. Okay, so I've got all the EQs on the amp at noon. I've got all my volumes on 10. I'm on the bridge pickup just so you can hear, and I'll go through all the pickups quickly and give you an idea of what it sounds like with a humbucker. I've got the gain down a little bit, so that should be all nice and clean sounding. Position. Bridge. Okay, I'm going to put on the first channel, the crunch channel. Let me just turn that down a little bit so it doesn't distort on the. So this is the the crunch channel, or that's what they call it anyway. Now it's got really good sustain. I mean, you can hear that real beefy valve sound when you hit the big power chord, first position. And I've got the gain right now at about 11 o'clock. So it can get pretty gainy. If I turn the gain down a little bit, let me try that. I'll put the gain down around 2. Or not 2, sorry, 9 o'clock. So turn the gain down quite a bit. Going to the bridge, sorry, into the neck for a bit. Now I'll try the, I'm back in the bridge. I'm going to go to channel 2, which is the lead channel, which is a higher gain channel, and right now that gain is at about noon. Let me turn that one up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to crank that gain a little bit and see how dirty that lead channel can get. Okay, so I've got it on the first position on the bridge of the Strat. The Strat probably show off the cleans a little bit better than the Les Paul, but here we go. The amp is very sensitive. It has it really pops, like the attack on it really pops when you hit single notes, I notice. Okay, let me put some gain on this now, so I'll go to channel 1. I haven't touched it from before, so it's where it was earlier with the crunch channel. I'm back in the bridge for the Strat. So a fair bit of gain even on the clean channel, even with the single coils. And that's just the crunch. If I go to the lead, it's going to get really obnoxious. So there you have it. That's the Hughes and Kettner Tubemeister. Some of the tones were sounding alright, some not so alright, but again, I'm not tweaking the amp at all. Had the amp for a while, and with some tweaking, you can make it sound pretty good. A lot of the time, the amps come with built-in drives that you can't really use. I find that the crunch and the lead channel on this are quite usable. Again, with a little bit of tweaking, you can get them to sound pretty good. The other thing I should mention too is normally I use a pedal board, and another reason why this amp for me was a buy was because it takes pedals extremely well. I've got well, let me show you my board here. So this is my board, and you know, I've got a couple of overdrives. I got a rat in there now as a substitute because my my Pinnacle is getting repaired. I got a Wampler Pinnacle, and man, their customer service is awesome. They're actually shipped it to them. They fixed it. The guys have been really good over email, telling me the status, and I can't say enough about Wampler customer service. I don't work for Wampler or anything, but man, they're pretty cool. Anyway, so the rat's in there for now. I got a Corona chorus and hypergravity compressor and flashback delay, spark booster, blah blah blah. Got a Tone City showing up here hopefully in the next day or two. I'll probably do a video on that as well. But anyways, it takes the pedals really well. It actually, when I rehearse, one of the places that I rehearse, I play out of a Marshall head, usually a DSL 100-watt head, and I find that the pedals through this sound a lot like they do through the Marshall at rehearsals. So it's a pretty good pedal platform. So that box is checked. So anyways, if you're you know, if you're interested in the Hughes and Kettner, again, it's a great head, 36 watts, which is plenty loud, at least for what I do, playing small bars and things. You know, lots of headroom. I've got it on 36 watts right now, so for maximum headroom. Yeah, it sounds pretty good. Definitely does the job. I would recommend it, and at least here in Canada, the Hughes and Kettner are priced pretty well compared to other cabs, or sorry, other heads that of equal wattage and features. So hopefully that helps you out if you're in the market for a head and a cab. And that's it. Thank you very much. Hopefully you got something out of this, you enjoy this, and if you have comments, please leave them below. Thanks very much. Take care, Guitar Hacks.